For today's Hour of the Day presentation, I am going to be analyzing a piece called Culture Terror. It's a propaganda piece created by Harold Demsleth, who is a half Norwegian, half German artist. It was created in 1944, the year that America liberated Norway from the Axis, and is one of the author's 200 paintings. The main character in this image is obviously the monster. The monster's placement between America on the lower left and Europe or Norway on the lower right conveys the main idea that America, this monster made up of all these negative stereotypes, is coming to destroy Europe. The only color in this is red, which is the color of blood, and can be seen on the American flag, the texts, the explosion, and the rocket. The text on the bottom is German and is Norwegian, and it reads, "America is coming to save European culture. With what right?" This, combined with the destruction and the American flag, combines to also convey the main idea of America coming to destroy European culture. I'm going to separate this analysis into 4 different parts based on the 4 main stereotypes that the author utilizes. The first section is going to be racism, and I would like to point out the KKK hood that the monster wears on his head, along with a noose on the upper left arm. Now, this obviously conveys the idea that America is full of racism and racists. The KKK hood at the head of the monster shows that the head of state, or the government, is racist. It's also looking down on the destruction, meaning that this racism is going to be spread to Norway if they get liberated. Even though the head of state is racist, the torso of the monster, the heart, is made up of 2 African Americans in a cage. These African Americans have elongated limbs and ape-like faces, which means the author was probably a racist. This is kind of ironic because the author would use racism to villainize America and then go and be racist against African Americans himself. On the models, on the top left shoulder of the monster is a model wearing an Indian headdress. This Indian headdress is meant to remind the viewer of the way that Americans treated the Indians and make the viewer question, if America treated its native population like that, how will it treat me when it comes to liberate me? The second section is the sexuality in America, and the first thing I'd like to point out about this is the 2 models on the monster's shoulders. The one on the left is wearing a sash saying Miss America, while the one on the right reads Miss Victory. This obviously shows the over-sexualization of women by American culture, while the sashes show their military fervor, that along with the bugles and the American flag, that is. But these models are so caught up celebrating America and being patriotic that they ignore the destruction going on below. You can see that because they're looking up at the sky. This shows that the American public generally ignores the atrocities the military commits while they're so caught up in their own celebration. On the lower left of the monster, on its mechanical leg, is another sash, which reads "World's Most Beautiful Leg." This is meant to show how America is obsessed with its army as well as women, because the mechanical leg probably represents its military. The third section is going to focus specifically on the lower arms. The one on the left is a prisoner's and has a broken handcuff and is holding a Tommy gun, which is a common gangster weapon. The broken handcuffs are meant to show the broken justice system of America, while the Tommy gun is meant to remind the viewer of the gang system that America had at the time. The right arm is supposed to be a judge's arm, and it's holding a gavel, but instead of using the gavel in a court system, it's pounding the military drum that makes up its lower torso. These combine to show that America has a faulty justice system and is ruled by criminals, which will probably spread to Norway should it liberate it. The fourth slide combines general details, mostly anti-Semitism and more racism. The first thing I'd like to point out is the inscription on the cage of the African Americans and the record that the top left arm is holding. The inscription reads "Jitterbug, Triumph of Civilization." and is meant to show scorn at the American way of dancing. Germans generally looked down on the swing movement that was going on in America. The record that the African American arm is holding seems ready to hurl into your Norwegian culture. Both of the inscription and the record's placement next to the African American arms insinuates that the African Americans are the problem, or are the cause of this problem, that is. On the top right arm, that is, there is a boxing glove. Now, I have to bring in a historical story to explain this. America and Nazi Germany had a boxing match a few years earlier. An African American represented America, while a German represented Germany. The African American beat Germany in the first few rounds with an onslaught of punches that many Germans considered brutish and cruel. Germany still held a grudge against America in this factor, and many saw this boxing match as a political fight because America versus Germany at the time when tensions were so high. Also, many boxing coaches in America were Jewish, which explains why there's a little Jewish man on the boxing glove looking around, and it also explains the money bag the boxing glove is holding. The man on the boxing glove, combined with the Jewish cloth between the monster's legs, combined to show the anti-Semitism that all Nazi propaganda probably holds. It's easy to get lost in all these details and lose sight of the main message of the idea that America is this horrible thing made up of all these stereotypes, but the text at the bottom still shows the main idea that America is coming to destroy European culture, and under the guise of saving it. Thank you for listening.